So I'll introduce it. This is Matthew Weiner, and this is episode 8 of season 4, The Summer Man, and I am here with...
I'm Leo Trombetta. I was the editor of episode 8, Summer Man.
And we're also going to be speaking for Phil Abraham, who, because of the scheduling issues of doing this in the middle of the winter, not that it matters, but is working, which just happens often with successful directors. This episode to me was, this is after the suitcase, so they've sort of hit his nadir. Don has sort of gone to the bottom, and the idea was to, in a very visually ambitious episode, show Don trying to get control of his life.
As soon as you have to cut down on your drinking.
And the voiceover right away was a choice. This diary was based on a friend of mine's dad kept a diary in the middle of 1965, which I read some of. And some of the pieces are from my diary, and some of the pieces are just written. But I love the idea that we were going to get a shot at the inside of Don's head.
5 paragraphs, 50 words apiece.
This is an episode where you really had to put together a lot of montage.
Well, that's what was so exciting to me when I read the episode, was because it's different from the usual Mad Men episodes, because it's more internal. It's more it's subjective rather than objective, and that's even the way Phil shot it, as you see in the scenes coming up.
Yeah, Maria and Andre, we talked about him swimming. John Hamm can swim. We knew that we could get him. We were talking about him jogging originally, which we couldn't even do in the street. We knew that I knew that I wanted to use Satisfaction at some point in 1965 when it came out. This is the right month. But I wanted to show that Don is sort of. I love the way you did this too, and that sound people did a great job of showing the transistor radio and then having it become Source.
Right.
And shooting outside in downtown Los Angeles with very little money, very little extras, very little sunlight, as it turns out.
Yeah, and what I love is that as the way Phil shot it, there are moments in slow motion, so we're experiencing it the way Don is, rather than sort of objectively just watching the scene.
And part of the theme of the season is not just Don realizing that he's an alcoholic or Don realizing that he's hitting bottom, but also Don getting older.
Yes.
And, it wasn't until I started doing the show that I realized that the song Satisfaction was even about advertising. And the idea of Don hearing this and the world changing and this strut here on the shot and him cleaning up and still looking for, quote, girls. You just feel like, and then he smelled corn, he's from the country. It
was a nightmare. The ether
and of course, this is the writing-wise, this is something you try and do. This is the theme of the episode. I was blind and now I see.
Yeah.
And now I see.
What was interesting for me, and maybe this is just personally, and I don't know if you agree, but the opening, the whole sequence up to this point, creates a certain way of perceiving this whole episode. Like from right now, even this,
where Don's not there.
Yeah, even though Don's not there, though, I'm sort of. Peggy says, "I feel like Margaret Mead," and I sort of feel like we all feel like Margaret Mead. We're observing this behavior.
This is a very special episode for me. Not in the network TV, very special episode, but just like emotionally, not just to do something different, which is not. We're always trying to do something different. You can vouch for this. Every episode we think is very special and very different.
Yes.
But I felt there was a psychological intimacy in this because of the voiceover.
Yeah.
And I remember somebody saying to me afterwards, like, are we allowed to do voiceover? First of all, John Hamm read the poem at the end of the first episode of season 2, which I think transferred into a lifelong experience that he will have as a voiceover artist. He's amazing at it. But I feel Don's a professional writer, and Don would try and keep a diary, and eventually it pays off. I just really wanted to get inside his head, and I wanted to hear his desire to change, because showing it is also, my rule about voiceover is that it has to be indispensable.
Yes.
It cannot narrate what's going on. And we shouldn't ignore this other story here. This is a very big episode for Joan and Peggy. Matt Long, who plays Joey, has been established all the way through. We can see he's a little bit of a jerk-off, I would say. He's very handsome. We don't know how good he is as an artist, but someone eventually is going to stand up for Joan. And as that's a great shot. The network wanted to digitize his rear end, just so you know. I don't think anyone was scandalized by it, and it's such great subversive behavior. But the idea that Joan has all this responsibility and no authority became something that became a theme in the show anyway. And the cartoon itself, as we get to it, was such a divisive issue in the room. We all knew that this was worth doing. And again, Joan's behavior related to her situation, which we don't even know yet, that her life is in bad shape, that Greg is going away, but it's she's being extra touchy.
Yeah.
This big laugh through this. Phil and Chris Manley too. They work so well together. I always find that I get all the shots that are in the script, and I also find there's a kind of deftness to it. You know, there's a really kind of like it's never being stuffed in your face.
Right. Yes.
Welcome back. Let me help you with those.
Now, I would like to say something about John Hamm's performance in the voiceover.
Yeah.
It's just about he only did 2 takes of it. One very intimately, where he was very close to the mic, and then one a little more, you know, with a little more voice. And of course, we used the intimate one.
Yeah.
But there were only 2 takes. He did it all, you know.
He's, I mean, he's got 2 takes of some of the biggest scenes that he's ever done in the show. He's just so on top of it.
Right.
I love their chemistry because I feel his frustration, and you know, he's trying to cut down on his alcohol, and so he's extra frustrated. And he's always respectful of this woman. He knows she's his punishment. She's old and she knows more than him, but I love his exasperation. It's always... And we know that this birthday's coming, which was Maria and Andre in the room, and I think Janet Leahy and Lisa really worked on breaking the story, a big chunk of it. And this was the big breakthrough, was realizing that it was his son's birthday, and that I had said that I think that I had the idea that he was thinking about going to the birthday and wasn't going to go, and that Henry didn't want him to go, obviously, and that he was going to go. But the idea that we would plant that at the beginning, and that this would be the big issue, and that he would mention it to Faye, all that was theirs, and they really broke through the story for me. It's one of those things where you're just like, why? How do we show that this is what's going on with Don in the objective way, right?
Yes. Yes.
And I love that all of our ambiguous feelings about this man, Joan's husband, in the end, she loves him, and this scene to me is fun because it's got so much subtext. You know, he's throwing this wet towel on the bed, just like classic husband behavior. And he says, "You'll talk to your friends at work," after they just treated her like shit today, and Christina just falls apart. And the irony of him saying, you know, pretend like we're in a Midtown hotel, you know.
Yeah.
And he is going away. He's got the haircut. He has painted them into a corner, but he's not as worried about it as she is. I think you really feel that this is, you know, what you want to feel in a drama, that she has a huge problem.
Yeah.
And we root for her. We hate seeing her weak. She's such a strong character, and she always seems to know what to do. And she's shielding him from all of her real feelings because she didn't want to say goodbye to him. I love that.
Right.
As a character thing.
Yeah.
Dinty Moore, Bob Levinson basically said to us, "That's what you eat when you're divorced."
Oh.
The can hadn't changed that much. There was some suggestion somewhere that this can of Budweiser was product placement. That is
No.
absolutely insane. That
You don't do that
an
at all.
alcohol company would allow you to put their product, would pay for you to put their product in a story about a man who's trying not to be an alcoholic. But this voiceover here and this great piece of Vietnam footage, this was actually from the guy's diary. He said, "I hope it's not another Korea." And I love the idea that that's just sort of creeping into the story and in the way it would.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted Vietnam there, but it's not going to affect Don.
Right.
He can't be drafted anymore. But that generation of veterans, they did not want war. They'd lived through it. I mean, we know Don's feeling about it.
Yeah.
The old pull tab, that was pretty hard to pull off. Ellen Freund nailed that. And this transition to me is just like a beautiful piece of filmmaking.
Yeah. And the music that David
Carbonaro wrote this.
Yeah. It's just a gorgeous theme.
I know, I was worried it was a little too film noir, which is what happens when you have, I love this too, when he says, when you have voiceover anyway, but the mysteriousness, it feels personal.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that man. Don expressing that he wants to change.
Yeah.
And here, talk about subjective. The way that this was pulled off, you know, a tiny scene in the office here of Don in a meeting zoning out.
Right.
What Leo did with the sound here to fading it in and out. Some of that was in the script, but there are things that are not in the script. The dolly counter zoom that Chris and Phil executed here. The swallowing that you put in that we almost lost in the sound mix. Jason George and Jeffrey Bay was like, "Where are the swallowing?"
And you had told me when we were editing this that this came from a Bukowski quote, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's a Bukowski quote which I used to hear a lot in the Sopranos room. That's also important. Which is, I think it's something like when you take that first drink at 5 o'clock, it's like the whole world takes a step back.
Yeah.
And,
but I thought it was at the same time really an interesting choice for you to not load it up with echo and
well, you know what, we talked about it. We like this is well-trod territory, a subjective experience of somebody wanting a drink.
Right.
And you want to make it clear, but to me, the story is not that Don needs a drink and he's not drinking it. It's what does that feel like? Why is he's extra irritable?
Yeah.
He's the world is not clear. He cannot pay attention to things.
Yeah.
He is.
What can I do?
There's no story about trying if it's not hard. And I wanted it to be hard.
Yeah.
And I love that he relents. He's gauging it. He's not going to stop.
But are you sure he's the right fit?
That's not an option. He's going to cut down. You're already dealing with a gray area there that's very complicated. Linguistically, this is kind of an interesting scene to me, too, because Joan's sticking the knife in Joey in the way that Joan does it. And Peggy notices it,
Really?
but it's
He's not a gentleman with the girls.
this
there
story
seems
is
to be
probably
an-
true, but would she care normally?
Right. But there seems to be an interesting dynamic, too, or there is, between Joan and Peggy, where Peggy's sort of one of the boys here.
Yeah,
you know, and-
absolutely. Well, that's always the question is, like, Peggy is above Joan.
Right.
That was really where the story originated from, is that Peggy was going to have to fire somebody, and Joan can't fire anybody.
Balls are so big.
But this part of the boys thing is very important because of the cartoon and
Yeah.
Joan protecting herself. That was very important. And Peggy, instead of not having the confidence like she would in the past, to like admit that this is offensive to her, is actually putting her foot down. Like, don't talk that way in front of me.
That myth is, well, it has some truth to it.
I love the Buddy Ebsen picture.
Yeah, that cost some
the
money,
Jed
by the way.
Clampett.
That's from the
Yeah,
estate.
right, yeah.
But that's Bob Levinson, who actually had Harry's job at a certain point. He was one of our advisors. I was like,
Start to hear him talk about a young
he really informed the scene. He told us, like, Harry is in show business.
Yeah.
He's the only part of the agency that's in show business, and he's starting to behave that way. And he does know Buddy Ebsen, and he did know about Peyton Place.
But I
and he
love that
doesn't-
it's not a shot of Buddy Ebsen as Buddy
You're
Ebsen,
right,
but
it's
it's
a shot
Jed
of Jed
Clampett.
Well, that was my choice.
Yeah, that's great.
He was. I can't even explain how famous he was and how important that show was, and
Yeah.
how glad I am to have it in there.
Yeah.
And I love the quasi. First of all, I love Harry's office with this French Regency furniture and antique stuff in the middle of this modern building. And I love that
What are you doing in there?
he does seem to be hitting on Joey, even though he's not.
Right. Well, I wasn't sure myself. I was a little...
Right. Well, in this
surprised.
show, you never know.
Exactly, yeah.
But to me, it's all about Harry's ego. And I love this scene. We talked about this.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something about
Joey is
We're creative, and she's an overblown secretary.
telling the truth, but he has a personal problem with her.
There's a
That's
Joan
why he
Jones.
can't just suck it up.
My mother was a Joan.
And also, you
Always
get the
telling
fact that
everybody
he's
what
kind of a screw up.
She even wore
You know, he
glitter
looks
on
for
her
his watch at the
for
end, and he
kids.
wants to leave.
Yeah.
Your mother.
He's not great at his job. Peggy likes him. So it was important to me to see his charm and also his lack of effort, and he's just a regular person. I don't think he's supposed to be. I didn't want him to just make him he's not just like some sexist jerk. He's who he is.
Right.
And here we have Betty's point of attack into the show.
we were on our way to the theater and Ralph Steuben.
This
This is my
is
wife.
Henry's career and Betty being his arm candy, and
The congressman wanted me to do this immediately. And
the political wife. I love these politicals. I love this. This feels like a real meeting to me that
yeah.
Henry would be in.
that's the,
The guy is not interested in talking to her. She's just there. They would slip it in, and
You don't know.
Don's there with Bethany, which is
What
just
show did you see?
Why don't we get a
just
drink at the
devastating
bar?
to Betty. And the idea of moving on, which Don is trying to clean up his act. Can Betty move on from Don?
Yeah.
And that emotionally being, Henry's right. She's emotionally too attached to him. Her rage shows emotional attachment.
And I think we all relate to how Betty would feel
Oh
at that
my
moment.
God,
you know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not just about this woman being younger or looking
Yeah.
like her either.
Yeah. Just
and
being
I-
confronted with your ex. You know.
Well, there's so much powerlessness, and there's so much powerlessness for the women in this episode. Is part of what it was about. Bethany, you know, with her tan lines, which I asked for, and
We're on a date.
trying to corral him into making a more serious commitment, trying to embarrass him into it, trying to say like, what is this? It's don't you want to be close to anyone, which is all he's expressed in his journal anyway.
I know we're from different generations.
And him reminding her that,
I'm going to
I mean,
need
he's older. We talked about that. He's watching those girls pass, and I love this line to me is like this is a man of his era. You know, you're being really forward.
All the time.
In fact, I actually tried to ADR it because I made a mistake. He should have said girls. He shouldn't have said
We
women.
don't have to get married for me to show you off at the country club.
She wants a relationship,
How are you?
and this we really worked over editorially.
Oh, yeah.
There were some issues about how it was shot, but it was also like, what is the emotion? And you and I had a lot of discussion about this, and Phil also at some point about what is Betty going to give to him?
Right.
They have to stop. They have to stop.
Yeah.
We actually put the dessert cart there so that they would have to go down the thing in the wide shot.
Was actually my
And I love that smug laugh that Betty's husband
And some-
gives.
Yeah, Henry, he's like, yeah.
What?
He's about to have the worst night of his life. So Don is upset about it, but he's not as upset as... He's certainly not worried about it ruining his evening. He just
Right.
wished it hadn't happened. And then this reaction we talked about with Bethany, I wasn't even sure what this was. I always felt that she ended up
Well, first of all, my
unzipping his pants in the cab because of a sense of competitiveness.
Uh-huh.
But she is impressed with the fact that he was married
That's
to this
how I
woman.
read
That was
it.
certainly what she's doing.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Rocky only hates him.
It made her feel more glamorous and more attractive because this is the kind of woman that Don
Yeah.
is able to get, and now I'm with him, so
Right.
I must be on the same level.
This is not in the script, the way that January drinks this gimlet. It was there that she would put it down on the menu
Yeah,
and sort of seem uninterested in the conversation. And I love, by the way, also the way that we work this in. Henry is a Republican. He's good at his job, and it's a different kind of politics. John Lindsay, it's centrist politics. It's like socially conscious politics. It actually doesn't even exist anymore. There is no part of that. America is not itself in that state. There's only the extremes, and
One drink.
so you sort of see a kind of like, you
My
know,
wife has the other.
this is not the nexus of evil here. This is a couple of guys trying to figure, you know, out what the future would be with their super handsome candidate. But Betty is so not interested in that. Lisa Albert, who's one of the writers on this script, this contribution of her grabbing the toilet paper and blotting her armpits to me, it's just like the whole bathroom scene. We have a lot of trouble, you know, this is an extra set and it costs a lot of money, and it's what kind of the first, this kind of stuff is the first stuff that's cut a lot of times, but it was so emotionally powerful, and January just nailed it.
Yeah.
It's just like, when you come in there and you pick this section of the shot with her brow knitted and her veins bulging and her hands shaking, I just like...
Look at them.
Nobody said you had to look at
This scene is very funny to me.
You need a drink.
It sounds like they're married. You see the Henry guiding her as he has throughout the season. You cut episode 5 also, Chrysanthemum and the Sword, where the surprise was that Henry is her husband and
Right.
he's there to help her.
yeah.
But
It's a strong word, Betty.
She's so
I
good
hate
in
not
this
to.
scene.
she is just amazing to me. And again, the way that these people are
like
playing
seeing her. I
inebriation,
don't hate her.
you know, just explain to the audience, this is done, they're doing it 5 or 6 times in a row.
Right.
Not when it ruins the
And
whole
they're not
evening.
drunk. They have to remember the lines.
Yes.
Man is asking me to take Lindsay
But I like
all
his
the way. I could have
parentalness. I like his
it.
emotional
Doesn't have a say.
contribution, his emotional state,
You do.
her
Much
childishness,
space in your life.
and this piece of it that is really derived from my own life, not from my wife, but from my childhood, is her trying to get out of the car to make a point.
We?
And this line, my wife gave me this line actually after the script was almost done. When he says "we," she's like, he proposed to her when she was 6 months pregnant. How could he?
Yeah.
You know what?
I mean, talk about impulsive.
Because you don't want to live there anyway.
I love the way she
Stay in a
delivers
hotel
these lines.
Or
Yeah.
wherever you were when I met you. In your mansion. With your servants.
She's really trying to hurt him, and shut
Oh,
up.
yeah.
That was Lisa and Janet really. I think Lisa might have written the draft of the scene, and I just love that. shut up, Betty, you're drunk. Or maybe it came out of the room, but whatever it is, it was a redefinition of their relationship. And she was drunk and she was acting out. And I love that you feel they are more intimate in that scene than Don and Betty ever were.
Right.
In a positive way. But
What are you doing?
Making you come.
Bethany is making a move here to basically further their relationship, I think. And because she wants to compete. Wipe that memory out of his mind of his
She's a
ex-wife.
sweet girl. And she wants me to know her, but I already do.
This there's a laugh there, obviously, but this line,
People tell you who they are, but
people tell you they are. This is really what the episode's about, and a lot of the season. Don knows exactly who Faye is when he sees her. He knows who, everybody.
To be continued.
You project feelings onto people because you want them to be who you want them to be.
I bet she was thinking of that line all night.
And he's kind of condescending about this, but I love, again, subjectivity-wise, this is what's on Don's mind and his recognition of the loneliness of all these people. He's alone in his apartment. The last effect, actually, in the show was to get that reflection of the building in the window, and it really helped.
Right.
The Barbizon Hotel, by the way, being a famous women's hotel in New York, and I think Sylvia Plath lived there. I mean, a lot young women would come and work in the magazines and live in it. It was all women.
Right.
I should appreciate it more.
That's a beautiful line. I remember seeing that in Lisa's draft, that idea about being the skydiving baron. Yeah, and also just wanting to sleep alone, like you wanted to be
stretch
alone.
out.
Yeah, there's something positive finally about him being divorced because he's not good on his own. So we're getting some information here, which is that Faye is breaking up with someone. We're also getting the information that she's very passionate. I think there's a clear message here for some of the audience that she's Jewish because go shit in the ocean is a Yiddish expression. It's so specific, but I love that Dawn sort of smiles at it and she doesn't know she's been seen.
What were you going to say?
You want to talk about this scene? This was an interesting thing. We had to pull some time out of the show, so we did take a chunk out of this, but
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Henry.
her
Come over here.
what you get here is her, I love that she looks horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, she's still January. She looks amazing. She's actually sometimes to me sexier when she's like this. But she tells a lie here that he was the first man, that she was the only man she's ever been with. We know that's not true, but she's making an excuse for being emotionally attached to him.
I know.
You really, really feel her childishness. And his coldness, right?
Yes. From the very beginning, the way he's not really looking at her when he's putting his tie on.
He was the only man I'd ever been with.
He's mad at her. But his ego is hurt that she's having negative feelings that are that strong are feelings. That's what I always thought it was. She's too attached to him, to Dawn. Her hatred shows that she's attached. And here we
And
have...
speaking of childish,
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
I love this though. Yeah. It just
Here's another thing that costs a fortune.
this set.
Yeah,
set,
to do it, just you have to shoot it, and it's a non-dialogue scene. It's an eighth of a page, But
Oh, it's such a great moment.
yeah, for me too. I always felt like this was. We have to know how Henry feels.
Yeah.
And here's one of our another close-up shot that Chris and Phil just like. This is beyond my
And I remember
expectations.
the detail that even during the tone meeting, there was a specific Bic pen that you.
Yeah, I wanted to see the orange Bic pen.
Yes, exactly.
They were the first ones I remember, and they had just come out, and they're gone, but they were everywhere, and they were kind of amazing too. That a pen was an expensive piece of equipment, and then there's this pen that you just
For a
literally,
dime.
you throw it away.
Yeah.
Mountain Dew and Pepsi not involved in the show either. This is just something that I thought was funny and fit the story because Don is a hillbilly.
Yeah.
And hillbillies are a big part of the show, and it's also was a big part of advertising and humor and so forth in the 60s. This was
Beverly Hillbillies.
Beverly Hillbillies, a hee-haw. Yeah.
Exactly.
Dawn wants our freelance art director, Joey Barrett, put on full-time for the next 3 weeks.
So this is just a tiny piece to show that Lane and Joan are an unholy alliance, and her going into his office and to set up the derivation of the cartoon. And there is room for subversive behavior in an agency. In any place where you have creative people, there's going to be cartoons of the boss. There's going to be a dartboard with somebody's face on it.
Yeah.
But this Lane's exploiting them with this candy machine. It's amusing to me. He really is the guy who has that job. I'm not going to say who has it on our show, but it is that job. They're not in our building. They're higher up than us. And here, a casual drawing. This drawing was something that I had drawn for the story, months and months beforehand. I was like, this is what the cartoon is. It's foreshortened. We fought for it. The network was like, ambiguous about it. It is, it's a suggestively, a very suggestive, inappropriate cartoon. But then Josh drew it in a way that really looks like an art director drawing it. And I think he did it on an iPad with his finger. But
Really?
it has this very kind of colored pencil thing. Another tip to the audience, when you see Don typing and you think, oh my God, he can't deal with his secretary, that's not what it is. Don is a professional writer, and that's how he writes. And this scene to me
Don? Hello, Don.
is a
Henry
twist,
Francis.
right?
Sorry to bother you.
Henry has all the cards.
I assume it's important.
Don
It is.
hates himself
Yeah.
as he's recovering. And this act of dominance here, the way John responds to it, the way Henry acts, the unspoken nature of like, this call is about you're not coming to the birthday party. I want you to get your stuff out of my house that we're renting,
I could probably have
but don't
some
come to the birthday party.
in the store.
And
I can take it off the rent. No, that's okay. I should probably come and get to
I don't think we ever touched this scene. I think this was the first way I saw
Jean's
it.
birthday party's on Sunday.
John Hamm's,
No. So I think Saturday would be best.
Yeah,
don't
this
you?
moment right
here,
here.
I see.
The boat's coming next week, so.
Fine.
the boat.
I'll come at noon.
John, I'm buying a boat. Very subtly, I think, I'm not going to have a drink. They did a great job on this because I probably overdid it in the script. Him thinking about drinking and not drinking. But you can see every moment of conflict how badly that's what he wants to do. He feels that agitation. He wants to relieve it. This is a very comic little piece here that they hit out of the park and you completely forget about because you see the cartoon at the end of it.
So I looked in my purse and all I had was a quarter, so that I lost a quarter too.
These two together just crack me up.
Exact change light on.
I started with exact.
And who is in charge? Like I said, who has the responsibility? Who has the authority? Who has, no one has any power of the two of them. Joan has the power to give the money back for the machine. Doesn't have the power to fire people. This cartoon was so divisive when it was discussed in the room because there's pretty much without exception not many men who were like, oh, yeah, it's not cool. But it's funny. It's not really. And every woman was like, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's absolutely disgusting. And not the act, but to do that about somebody you work with, to put them in that, to make fun of them that way, it's not
Right.
cool. Peggy says it. What about Don? Yeah.
Understand wearing Chips glasses.
Glasses, yeah.
And editorially, this was a really interesting choice that you had made.
Yeah, I mean, it was shot from the front, the traditional way, on an axis with them staring at her, and a series of shots, medium and wide, of Christina giving this speech. And part of it was discussion with my wife, and part of it was from the room. But I felt that this was about this. We had an extra opportunity here to see this through Peggy's eyes.
Yes.
And to see Joan wind up with all of her force and her admirable power. We talk about subjectivity.
Right. Exactly.
And not to just see it as this withering speech to these guys, which it is.
Yeah.
And it comes out of rage, and it comes out of the fact that Joan is good at this.
But it works on both levels. I mean, you
I
still
think
get
so,
the
yeah.
it definitely does. You feel Joan's power, and you feel it from the guy's point of view, how they've been shut down, but you at the same time see it through Peggy's
See, Peggy,
eyes.
it's an and I mean the crop shot. I mean, it's not her breasts, everything. The power of this physical power of Joan. I kept talking about that. I was like, this is a cannon that's going to explode at them, and Peggy's got to see like her standing up for herself.
Look, believe me, you do not want
And I
to
like
be
this, and then
involved
she goes in and complains to Don, and it's kind of whiny, and Don's like, whatever, you know what? You want to be in charge of something? Go fire him, do whatever you want. It's not my problem. And me going out and you telling on him and me solving this problem for you does not give you any power.
I'm sorry.
Have a seat.
What I do love is that after Don acts like he doesn't care about this cartoon, and it doesn't matter, here you have the reality of the situation. Watch what he does here, is he crumples it up, throws it away. He certainly doesn't want Faye to see it.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's been working on the Xerox machine. I love this, the way that was done. And then, Jay Stan here just gives you an extra reaction here, which I loved. Like he knows exactly what this is. Some people can't take a joke.
I'm sorry, okay?
There's a nice little move in here,
Don't go
too, as
apologize.
Peggy gets
What? Mitchell, no, I didn't.
more serious. There's a little camera move in here that I didn't expect that I love as they sort of reposition.
Really?
Yes.
Would you show it to Lane?
Well, we talked about this. Like, how do we not make her sound like a bitch, and how do we not make him just a jerk?
With women, you have no sense of humor.
A lot of rewriting went on in this scene. A lot of trying to figure out what's the...
All right, I see the nostrils.
He could have apologized. Is she
That's
firing
it.
him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. That he refuses to give in to her. He
Right.
refuses to say
Is
you're
this an
right.
act? Yeah, this is not an act of feminism. This is an act of power.
Yeah.
Not that those two things should be separated or anything, but it is.
It's just a job, Joe.
He's made a personal mistake, and I love that. It's just a job, Joey. Because it is. You know, we fire people in the show, and they're dead.
Yeah.
And Matt Long, was sort of a coiled spring that we knew was going to be exercised in this way. And he was bummed when he saw it, but he loved the story. He was bummed that he knew he was fired, but he loved the story. And
What's going on?
she had
Watch
no
out, fellas.
no lack.
He's over.
It was a lack of respect, of personal respect. It's not male or female, I think.
A little bug bit me.
Well, I'll give you a call. We'll have a drink.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to have a drink with Harry.
Stan, throw a bit chemical on
I
the
love
back
this
so we
dress
don't
too.
knock you.
Yeah.
Spectacular dress.
Power of the poontang.
Another huge battle with the network about the word poontang, because apparently it is a way dirtier connotation in the dictionary than it is in common speech. And it is such a part of that era, that word.
And here was an interesting thing,
Yeah.
the fact that this was all done, except for the last shot, in one take, even though it was covered traditionally.
I just love their chemistry, and I actually
Exactly.
think that this is they get better and better. Chris got better and better at lighting the set. This is something where I literally, and he was really pleased with it too.
Yeah.
He never comments on it. He's working all the time, but I just remember saying to Phil and to you and to Chris, most importantly, that I feel like it is afternoon in the spring in a New York, or early summer in a New York. I'm sorry, in the middle of, in the summer in a New York high rise. That slide behind them is lit perfectly. She looks totally beautiful.
So why don't we do that?
And it plays out in one take because they have so much chemistry. And also, you didn't have to do too much with their knees and their body language. You get the whole thing here that he is hitting on her, that he has this information that she's dumped her boyfriend,
Right.
and that he has asked her out a bunch of times. I think he's looking for something more stable and more serious, and he's considering her that way instead of making a drunken pass at her after he won the Clio.
I've got enough to go on here.
Okay.
And I love that she just won't back into it, that she wants an actual date.
And his reaction too, that he respects that and he even enjoys it in a way.
Right.
That she said, well, if we do it in the right way.
Right. This really feels like the summer too, and this is one of those achievements for writing-wise, to just throw a little thing in there like scratching your arms and saying you got bitten up by mosquitoes, and putting crickets in there. They did a great job on the sound in here, and a little bit of a shimmer on the women from the heat. And
God, if I can make it through this weekend.
Francine,
It's a 2-year-old's birthday party.
who
And you'll have help.
is explaining to Betty that she should let Don go. Don's life is terrible. Because I think Betty feels that Don got the better deal. He got to cheat on her all those years. He got to live on his own. He has whatever he wants. And she loves Henry and she's married and everything, but Don's getting everything.
Yeah, she says he can't have that and this.
Yeah. He's the hero to the kids still. It's not fair.
Henry didn't understand it for
But I do think that she's in love with him on some level, and that's what this episode was about, was her saying, I have a lot. And Francine,
That's an act.
is it Francine or is it the women of the generation? Is it that mindset? I have no idea. But her saying to Betty, like, if you keep being jealous, you will blow this. That kind of advice. Terrible look at her.
Just be careful. Don has nothing to lose, and you
The
have
warning
everything.
about the relationship, that you could screw it up. I don't even know people who think that way now. This was the most discussed scene in the episode. I know people were kind of blown away by it, and I'm very proud of the writing in it, but it made so much sense to me that Joan would just be completely ungrateful, still in a competitive mode,
Yes.
annoyed at Peggy's arrogance, and also have to tear Peggy down and basically say, like, you're not a guy. You'll never be a guy. I have my way of doing things. Someone described this to me as very ghetto. That Joan is still, yeah, she's solving problems. What the structures say don't mean anything. You have to take care of yourself.
Fine.
I would have gotten him fired.
The cartoon was disgusting. I'd already handled it.
I love their performances in here too. I love
One dinner with Mr. Kreutzer from Sugarberry Ham, and Joy would have been
the
offered
long
and out of my hair.
tradition of
So it's
Peggy
15
Joan
years
scenes where you couldn't believe how Joan could express something that
Well, no matter how
it's such a
passionate
surprise,
they can
her attitude.
draw a cartoon.
But she doesn't know more than Peggy. And she's right, don't you think?
Secretary,
Oh, yes,
and you're
yes.
another humorless bitch.
We had a big debate about the word humorless too, if it was period, but I didn't really care at a certain point. It existed.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Yeah, but the expression, there's something modern about it, humorless bitch. It was sort of, I don't know. This chunk never changed.
Man walks into a room. He brings his whole
This is from my diary from when I was 30. I didn't really keep it with any consistency, but I did write this, and it was about the show. The show coming to me, you know, I was already writing things about this guy and who this guy was, even though I hadn't even written the pilot. And I think
If you listen,
it's that feeling inside you that you, I mean, I put it into words, but it is so much more meaningful to see all these images and the music and look at the blinds there and this point of view of Henry mowing his lawn. Janet Leahy had this image that Don would drive by and see Henry mowing his lawn, because there was this idea about looking in the window at your own life.
and then he'll smile.
Well, what I loved about all of these voiceover sequences and montages is it's sort of taking a breath and stopping and having an overview of these characters and their relationship to each other. And
Well, also, yeah, Don's comment about, like, a man walking into a room and not knowing who he is and bringing his whole life and lying to himself and wishing that he was something else and that that's all he is. You know, I've said it more eloquently in the show, but, and then to see that projected onto Henry.
And wish for what we had.
And that you're not happy with what you have. And Don's in a state of becoming something, hopefully. I wanted this season to be about who is Don Draper, and to me, this is when he got to the place where he could actually ask the question. Because when you ask that question, it can rock you. I think everyone who's been to the end of the series this season knows that he doesn't get a chance to answer it, that he becomes distracted and gives up on it.
right.
But I did feel that in this moment, it's so open and honest here.
And it's an effort to
As she is, actually. She takes
Yeah.
a moment here and during this scene to reveal
I came down
parts
to
of
the set
herself.
actually for this, and I remember seeing they'd shot almost all of her side, and I said, "Can we do one more?"
I'm looking forward.
Just for the beginning, the whole scene. It wasn't like it changed the whole scene, but I realized that she did not understand that she was excited to be on a date with him, and that they had to change that gear because he's so. And I said that thing about the chlorine, that you can actually smell him and he smells good. That's. I'd like to feel a little bit of that, and she's bursting with it. And I think it's worth commenting here also that Angela Weltman, who is Josh Weltman, our advertising, one of our advertising consultants' wife, does Faye's job, or something like it nowadays. And I wouldn't say she's the model for Faye, but she has a little bit of that, you know, incredible intuition with people and also business sense, and is very much about people's aspirations, which I felt Faye was also. And a couple of the key things in this season are from Angela, which is what I want versus what's expected of me, which is obviously gigantically important.
Yes.
And asking her why she did her job, and her telling us this Aesop's fable about persuasion, about the sun and the moon. And we heard it, you know, about 3 months before we started the season when I just brought her in to talk to me about what Faye does and to talk to the writers. And here it was executed all sort of in one scene. And I just...
Well, as I mentioned to you one time while we were editing, that Aesop's fable, the moral of it, to me, was sort of the 180 degrees opposite of the line that Don had in the Hobo Code, where he said sometimes force is required.
Yeah.
And I thought it seemed like a turning point in a way for Don.
I think it is, and we see, you know, he pulls up here. What I wanted to thank Angela on the DVD commentary, but I also wanted to talk about Don's admission of his respect for her and what she does. I love the way he drinks his wine. Oh, yeah. That is not wine. That is an actor who is in the moment, understanding where it is in the story and what his relationship with that drink is. There was, I think, a line that said Don feels it when he drinks the wine, but I had no idea what John Hamm was going to do, and I look at that, and you couldn't write that. You
How do you
can't.
get them to do what you want them to do?
But we, Lisa Albert grew up in New York in this period, and she frequently gives us gives me a lot of texture. But her idea about this summer evening, and then being in this patio of a restaurant, in the village, that romantic, and then getting into the cab, and that was all like the atmosphere. Don being alone, the fan going, all of that. It's just really a big part of him cleaning up. Or at least realizing there's something wrong with the way he's doing it. I mean, my whole story was like, how is he going to be alone? He's always been alone, but he's lost all his coordinates. So you want to be alone? Really stand on your own 2 feet. That means don't jump into bed with this woman. That means get it together enough to go to the party, even though they don't want you there. Because your kid needs you. He knows that. This I knew was romantic.
Yeah.
72nd and Broadway.
She lives on the Upper West Side, which is also a new address. I think Peggy had an apartment up there, maybe, and the Tiptoe Inn where Roger and Joan were mugged is is on the Upper West Side. John Hamm and Carabono just really like there's a people can do intimacy and they're kissing a stranger. That's part of their job. But what I love about this thing is it's not over the top. It feels like a first kiss. It feels like a date.
Really?
Yes.
It's a little bit, it's passionate. It's a little sloppy. I mean, the way two human beings are, it doesn't feel like we choreographed it.
Not at all, no. And Cara is just wonderful. Her reactions to the kiss.
Well, it was a story problem. I told you that because he's rejecting her.
Yeah.
But he's rejecting her for a great reason. But how do you not make this into a rejection? And we just decided that if Don says it won't be a rejection. If Don says, I'm not rejecting you. I respect you so much that I don't want to jump into that. Or I want this. It was part of the whole season, all the romances. If you want it to be more, you can't just be impulsive. You really feel his, the lighting is exquisite in there. Yeah. You really feel him thinking about it. And I think it's still a surprise that he goes to the birthday party. But I love the idea that he didn't sleep with her, that he's wordlessly enjoying being alone there. And then, of course, I don't know how he pulled this off. You write this in the script, that Don's racing this kid and he goes a little faster and then he gets to the end and the kid just turns. That was all that was in the script. But the fact that it actually worked, yes. I kind of give you a lot of credit for that. It's an editing challenge, I'm sure. And you did a great job of, did you put this in here, right? The Big Rock Candy Mountain? Yes. I love that. Yeah, I had nothing to do with that. I was thrilled when I heard it because the hobo thread.
Once again, the thread of the hobo, the hillbilly.
Yeah. And this is the real version with the cigarette trees and everything.
Right, yes.
Henry looking casual, sort of. And this is just very touching to me. That she's above it.
There you go.
That she smiles.
And a genuine smile, too.
Genuine smile. Yeah. And then her comforting Henry and him seeing that she's smiling and she's cool with it and him feeling better, like this could be normal. Then the emotion of Francine being happy that she took her advice. Then this emotion with Don and this music cue. Oh my God, This music cue was so powerful. We just ended it on it. There's nothing in the credits on this one. That push into me and the look on Betty's face, so ambiguous.
It's bittersweet, really.
Really.
Yeah. And yes, the choice to not have any music playing.
We tried some stuff, I'm not going to lie. And it just felt crammed in. It just felt like, what? Not just stick with that emotion. It's, Henry half of these there's so much self-congratulation in these DVD commentaries. I'm always embarrassed. That we sit here and talk about what we like, what we don't like. There's such a feeling with the distance of achievement. But working with you on this in particular, and we've done a bunch of stuff together now, but there are huge chunks in this where I just came in and was just like, oh my God, and credit to Phil especially, and to John. Every aspect of this, the incredible challenge of it, I just felt emotionally like I had done an episode that you could only do on this show. And like Maiden Form, I feel emotionally, this is an emotional expression of my heart.
Oh, yeah, and I'm so proud to have been a part of this.
And and it was really easy, right?
It was.
It only takes 800 people and millions of dollars.
Yes.
Anyway, thank you so much, Leo.
Thank you.